Hey everyone, it's Jeff.
And Karen.
And we're here with the campground review for you. We are currently at Cave Country RV Campground in Cave City, Kentucky.
Yep, it's our first time camping in Kentucky, so this is new for us.
This is the first time we've taken the camper outside of a Great Lakes state. So, we're about an hour and a half south of Louisville, hour 15 away from Bardstown, 40 minutes northeast of Bowling Green, and 12 minutes from Mammoth Cave National Park's Visitor Center.
Yep.
So we're kind of like in the middle of everything.
Yeah. Easy to get to from Midwest states. Pretty close to everything. We saw a lot of folks that take this route from Tennessee to get to Nashville, so you can go straight down and hit Nashville if that was next on your list of things to do.
It's about 2 hours away.
So in terms of things to do in the area, Jeff kind of mentioned, we're in the middle of bourbon country. An hour and a half to 2 hours from most of the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. Maybe 2.5 hours from Lexington, which is also bourbon country. And Louisville, where Bourbon Row is, and the Kentucky Derby, Churchill Downs, right, is there. So that's something that strikes your fancy. Bowling Green, 40 minutes, Corvette Museum, Corvette Plant, as well as some other things. National Park, so Mammoth Cave National Park, just 15 minutes away from here basically. There's also a whole bunch of Abraham Lincoln stuff about an hour east of here on the way to Bourbon Country, so that is stuff you can do. Unfortunately, because of the government shutdown, that affected some of those things that we had kind of on our plans.
So curses to whatever side of the political spectrum you fall on.
All of you people. Anyway, and then in terms of some train stuff, if you're a train person, there's quite a bit of train things, museums, rides, dinner trains in the area too, all within an hour to 2 hours from here. So unfortunately,
we didn't get to that. We had kind of higher priorities.
Yeah, and we had some rain, so that affected a little bit of the things we did. So, yeah, but there's a lot to do down here. Pretty country, very pretty country. It's rolling hills. So yeah, it's nice. And we're here in October. It started out a little warm, and it's really cooled off. In fact, we've been in the 40s at night.
First half of the week was summer. Then it rained for 2 days, and now we're in fall.
Yep. And then because Mammoth Cave was closed, there are other caves in the area. So Mammoth Cave itself is a national park. There's other things you can do there. There's some historic sites in there, trails, biking, hiking, river, so you could do some paddling. So there's a lot of stuff you can do in the park beyond the caves. And then there's also privately owned caves. So there were some really cool ones, some pretty caves, and then also some just big and interesting caves. We did a couple of those. Other stuff to do in the area for folks with kids, there is a Kentucky Down Under animal farm that has all kinds of farm animals and then more exotic animals. There's a dinosaur experience that we saw. We obviously didn't do any of that, but there's a lot of stuff to do here outside of the caves.
As for the park itself, a little over 50 sites. All of the sites are pull-throughs with gravel pads, very level. We didn't have to use leveling blocks or anything for our camper on this. If you have an auto leveling system, you have nothing to worry about. They have all the amenities, 30 and 50 amp service, water, sewer. They do have cable. They have Wi-Fi, which we did not use. So we can't tell you if it was good or not, but I would just go with typical camping Wi-Fi. There are some trees around the sites, but for the most part it's open, which works if you have Starlink. We've had the best service we've ever had with Starlink at this park because we had a 100% clear view of the sky. So here at the campsite, they've got a little dog park.
A walking path.
They've got a walking path across the street, a little pavilion, so if you want to have a gathering or anything like that, you can do that there. They do have a little store with t-shirts and must-have camping items. There's a workout room, very small pool. They do curbside pickup of your trash, have it out on the center road by 10 a.m. and they will come by and pick it up. Am I missing out on anything?
Laundry. They do have showers and bathrooms if you need those or don't like to do that in your trailer.
Really, this campground has just about anything you would need. I want to mention it is not kid-centric. Yes, they have a pool, but it's a very small pool. There's no playground or anything like that for kids. And they will tell you that on their campsite, that they are not kid-centric. So one thing that has done is provided for a quieter campground, because we have seen some kids here. But for the most part, you don't have kids running all over the place, yelling while they're playing or anything like that. So if that's something you're looking for, this is a campsite that you're going to want to consider.
Yeah, the sites are they're all pull through. They're fairly wide. There are a few sites that have some bushes and trees in interesting locations, so that is something you should keep in mind depending on where you have slides and doors.
When you get here, after you check in, they will escort you to your site. So there's no confusion there. Trying to think if there's anything else.
No, I think that's kind of the lay of the land, so to speak.
So some of the good things about the campsite. As we mentioned, it's a quiet campsite. All of the campground is big rig friendly. And there have been a lot of big rigs here. There have been Class A's here throughout our stay. The guy at the campsite next to us, we looked it up. His camper, it's a customizable one. It starts at $300,000. And then you have us in our little 25-footer. But
we've seen the gamut here. I mean, there's been GeoPros, there's been Class
A, B's, and C's.
Small, little, even smaller than, a 20-footer. I think there was somebody that had like a little baby one. So. And
there were a couple of van campers.
Yeah, and van campers, yep.
But it seems to be an older crowd here, which really works out.
Which is fine with us.
The weekend we got here, there was a pickleball group here. They were a little bit loud. But it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Wasn't that big of a deal to us. So,
no.
Unfortunately, with the good also comes the bad. And I want to add, this is at no fault to the campground owners. This is just stuff that's beyond their control. Interstate 65 is about less than a mile away.
Yes, it's right over there.
Directly behind the campground is a very active train line. And then on the south end of the campground where we're at, right next door is a company that, don't know what they do, but during the day their trucks are coming and going. And every once in a while, not on the daily, but every once in a while we'll be sitting outside and there's a smell that we can't agree on. Karen thinks it's swamp.
Yes, swampy kind of stagnant water smell to me.
I think it's septic. But it does happen occasionally. Not on the regular, not every day, but it does happen occasionally.
And this is kind of a trade-off. So if you're at that end of the campground, you're going to be closer to the highway. And we're on the quieter side of the campground, kind of away from stuff. So you're like, what is the trade-off? Yeah.
But I think it's very telling that the only bad things we have to say about this campground are things that the campground has no control over.
Yeah, their facilities are beautiful. The park is very well maintained. The owners are so nice, so friendly, so accommodating. That's fantastic. And it's a trade-off. Do you want to be in a campground that's out in the middle of nowhere, or do you want to be somewhere that's easily accessed to the highway and the things that you might want to do and get to the places you want to go? So to me, when I chose this campground, I was not finding a lot of campgrounds in this area that were full hookup. When we stay for a week, we like to stay full hookup. That way we don't have to mess around with toting sewer and filling water and all of that good stuff. And then a lot of the other campgrounds that I was finding in this area were seasonal only. So this was a fair trade-off to be able to access all the things that we wanted to do.
And if you are looking for seasonal, they'll tell you on their website here that they don't really do seasonal, but they do own another campground that is seasonal. I'm sure a lot of people out there have stayed at campgrounds that had seasonal sites, and we all know that sometimes those seasonal sites are not kept up very well. You don't have to worry about that here. So, Karen was talking about the staff here. The day that our neighbors pulled in, they hooked up their water and they turned the spigot on and no water came out, which was really weird because just 5 hours before that, somebody was using the water. So the people from the campground came out, diagnosed it almost immediately, knew that they were going to have to dig it up and replace it. And they talked to the guy, they offered him another site, but he was able to pull water from somewhere else for the night. They were out the next day. We had gone out to do things. By the time we got back, which was sometime in the afternoon, the new spigot was in place and the guy was pulling water off of his site. So they don't mess around here. Mm-hmm. They're very, very good. Yeah. So the big question is, would you stay here again?
I would. I think it's perfect location for access to the things you want to do. Does the noise bother me? No. I mean, I'm from Chicagoland. I'm used to noise, so not a big deal for me. Do I prefer places that are off the beaten path? Yes. But since that wasn't an option, I think this was a really good selection for this area.
Yep. I would stay here as well for all the reasons that Karen said, but also we found this this ready to drink right here. It is called Bourbanola. It's bourbon and cherry cola, and it is delicious.
It's out of Lexington, from a brewery in Lexington, I believe.
And unlike a lot of ready to drink options, this one's 12% alcohol. You can definitely taste the bourbon, and we would have never discovered this without coming down here. So
yeah, I mean, and just shameless plug for bourbon places, we did go to Buffalo Trace. The tour was fabulous. Their hospitality was fabulous, so that was exciting.
And if you go to Buffalo Trace, if you have an early tour, don't be afraid of the line.
Right, yeah.
Because every day they do distillery, not picks,
kind of like releases.
Exclusives.
Yeah, exclusives with kind of sale pricing or special. They do have special releases that are specific to the distillery, but people line up. It's almost like I'm lining up, but I don't know what I'm lining up for. And
the day we were there, we got a bottle of Eagle Rare for $45, and we got a bottle of Blanton's for $75, which, from the area that we live in, those are both steals.
Steals, yeah. And it was limit one, but it was exciting. I mean, it was a great tour. Like I said, their hospitality was fantastic. Their facilities are impressive, and what they're doing for bourbon and distilling, I think, is great.
We also went to Maker's Mark,
which was my favorite. It was a rainy day. Maker's, I felt like their estate is beautiful. It's very historic, beautiful. They're still using the same processing, to make their bourbon the way that they did 100 years ago. Just beautifully kept estate. Their passion for the spirit, you could tell through their guide that it was the reason. And they're a distillery that doesn't do a lot of different things. they keep, you know, a core group of things, and they do it well. And I was very impressed. And it was, and it was beautiful. All their buildings were immaculately maintained, and yeah, it was very, very nice.
It didn't, like, Bourbon Trace felt like an industrial thing.
Yeah, it was like, we're pumping out bourbon, that Buffalo Trace. We're pumping out bourbon, and you know, this is what we do.
Makers felt more like a farm.
It felt like a farm, like a craft distillery, which is what we tend to enjoy. That being said, craft distilleries, the smaller guys that we really enjoyed. We did go to Heaven Hill, which we only had lunch there. We didn't do any tours or tastings really. It felt a little, I'll say it, Disneyland to me. Like, hey, we're gonna like show you all this great stuff. It's all beautiful and brand new and wonderful. We drove through Bardstown's new facility in Bardstown. Also felt like brand new, beautiful, classy, high-end. And when we went to their tasting room in Louisville, kind of the same thing. As like, oh my gosh, I feel like out of place here because I enjoy bourbon, but I'm not high-class bourbon. We did go to 2 craft distillers that are right, you know, one is like 5 minutes from here and one is like 25 minutes from here. Highly recommend Dueling Grounds. They make a couple of different bourbons. Such a nice, they have a tasting room right in Cave City. Really thought that was impressive. And then we went to a place called Balance Distillery, which is 10 minutes outside of Smith's Grove, where there's a Buc-ee's, if you're a Buc-ee's fan. But it's really a kind of grain to glass type of situation using all local ingredients. They do rum, which was one of 2 rum distillers that they're aware of in Kentucky, which is
they were the first,
kind of cool.
They actually started making rum before they were making bourbon. So they were the first rum distillery in the state of Kentucky. And I am a rum snob. That is my primary beverage. And we bought a bottle.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't, as Jeff would say, a lot of places start doing rum until their bourbon's ready or their whiskey is ready. And this did not feel like it was just something to get by.
Plus it makes some really good moonshine.
And their moonshine was really good. They actually make Mammoth Cave bourbon and moonshine.
Which is how we found out about them.
In the national park.
We saw it at display. Even though the national park is closed, the lodge there is still open. And they have a gift shop. We went in there and we saw it, and when we got back to the campground, we looked it up and we're like, oh, these guys are like 20 minutes from here. Let's go.
Yep.
So, but anyway, getting back to the campground.
Yeah, so there's things to do. Like if you want to do Bourbon Trail, small craft distillers as well, you know, if you want to do something that's a little bit more off the beaten path, there is that as well.
The neighbor's dog just took off.
I feel her pain.
It's a little dog, so she'll catch it. And just so you don't think, you know, all we did was booze related, we did do a couple of caves. We went to Louisville Slugger and did a tour and had a bat made. That
was very cool.
Custom bat. So, yeah, there's all sorts of cool things to do. So, highly recommend this campground. If you do decide to stay here based on this video, please let them know. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, y'all have a good one.
Bye. Happy camping.